We are gathered here today to talk about using your pendulum for more than yes or no's. I will tell you how I learned, what I use it for. I have some references that I will tell you. The future is yours. True stories about dowsing, spontaneous healing, ghost busting, and the incredible power of the mind by Raymond Grace. I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting because I didn't really know what dowsing was. I'd heard of it, that it was about like finding water or something. Like I know that my dad did it to find a well on our property. Anyway, I was like, oh, the incredible power of the mind. Yeah, that sounds good. Ghost busting, I like that. So I started reading just a sample and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy writes so practically. It's just like you can't stop reading it because he's so practical. And so then, of course, I looked up Raymond Grace, and he is a very no nonsense, excellent motivator. He's the one who says, I don't shine any bright lights, I don't ring any bells, I just get the job done. Because he's just like, if you're thinking about it, if you want to try it, try it. When people ask him, would it work if I did this? He's like, do it. So I went there in person and learned from him. And what he does is super amazing. Like he'll do group clearings for food allergies and food intolerance and things. And after he did that, he just like sat there with me because I had so many. And I said, hey, what about mushrooms and mayonnaise and chicken and gluten and dairy? And he goes, oh, okay, yeah. And like he did his thing with his pendulum, and I didn't bring it because I'm not going to bring it on the road, but he has a bullet pendulum and like with this big chain on it. So he's like, this bullet is swinging around, and he cleared me of those allergies. And the only one that didn't stick was dairy. However, my dairy intolerance got a lot better. And that said, I also kind of like enhance it. So when I know that I'm eating, for example, sometimes chocolates, sometimes they're made with dairy and like I really want it. And so I will ask the system to remove the non-beneficial effects of chocolate on my body or whatever it is. And that's kind of a way for me to enhance that clearing that he did. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is then it was lunchtime after he did this clearing, and I went and I ordered, oh, and I also couldn't even tolerate corn. So I ordered corn tortilla chips with cream on it and chicken and mushroom. I was fine. And ever since then, I have eaten gluten and never had a problem with it. I am talking about like I couldn't I couldn't even eat carrots, people. My issues with food was so bad. Some of the healing was enhanced by work that I did on masculine energy because, as we know, when we heal our ties with masculine energy, our body comes into better alignment with food. That definitely helped. But the thing that Raymond did was just so freaking amazing and such an easy tool to use that I use it almost daily. With chocolate, I'm not even using a pendulum. That is just using the power of my mind. So that was in the title of his book. You know, you can use your creativity. This is water, this is tap water from the Tri-Cities. So, you know, definitely the water supply is not good here because of all of the leaking nuclear waste and chemical waste from Hanford. Hold it and ask the system to remove all non-beneficial effects of this water on my body. You can even say on my body aura and energy field if you want to kind of like enhance it. Yummy. Raymond Grace is known for remotely affecting the health of water supplies all over the world. He says, I have taught you guys everything you need to know about this. Don't call me up and ask me. Like, do it yourself. He has even a recording that you can get. I think you may have to buy it from his website. Some people play the recording next to the body of water or direct it to the body of water, and it affects the properties of that water. Raymond says that hospitals are a place where people get possessed all the time. So he mentions, by the way, if you have any clients or friends that are police officers, teachers, work in hospitals, obviously mental institutions would be a big one. Churches are a big one. These are common places where people will get possessed, and that where people will pick up demonic influences, where people will pick up entities. I even had somebody who the guides told me that that person needed to stay out of church until his energy was built back up again, because he was going through something and he thought if he went to church every day that it would, that he would get better or this situation would get better. But what was happening is he was getting bombarded by these energies and attachments. And when I go to places like that, when I walk in, I see myself as this golden, like, light. And like, all, like, I just whoosh, my energy just like goes through all the little cracks and crevices in whatever building I'm in, so that I'm in charge. My energy is in charge. No other energy can encroach on me. Another reference I wanted to point you to is from Raymon Grace Techniques That Work for Me, a mini course in energy management for improving your life. He has in here a lot of ideas, things that he has used that work for him. So that's why it's called Techniques That Work for Me. And I love the language that he uses, because if the language is already here, you don't have to think of it yourself. Find an example here. Okay, demons, why not? I open to that one. And he put some explanations in here. Okay, he says, here's the wording for removing demon and poltergeist. I ask the spirit doctors to take them to the proper dimension and lock them up so they can never return or do any harm. And he does this while holding the pendulum. People have been cleared of entities, and immediately something is gone. I know, I've seen it. Raymond Grace learned from Eugene Maurey. He did not exclusively learn from Eugene Maurey, but he learned about entities and exorcisms and the like. But Raymond has a different way of dealing with entities. This is the book. It's actually called Exorcism: How to Clear at a Distance a Spirit Possessed Person. It's a very easy read. It has some really practical advice about how to compassionately remove possessions. If it's a possession and it's like a earthbound possession, I guess, like, so it was a human, he just was a human that is possessing someone, reason with it and sort of like guide it to the light, and like, hey, this is really where you need to go. And the person you're possessing, you think that you're helping them, but it's harming them. Let me tell you how it's harming them. Like, you're very compassionate about it. And then they usually just leave on their own, and you don't have to do anything. I don't check people. I don't find out things about people unless they've asked me. I have met people who just say, well, I asked their higher self, and their higher self said I could do this. That's not how I do it. But if that's how you are comfortable with, then in terms of clearing spaces, if it's not someone's home, like if it's a public space, I have no problem doing clearings and removing stuff from public places. Raymond would say something like, this is just stacking the deck in your favor. Why not? So if you're going to an interview, you can ask for compatible spirit guides between, the interview panel. That's not doing something to the other people, but that's doing something to benefit you. You can clear schools and all this kind of stuff. Those are places that are open for you to clear and affect the energy in. So Raymond talks about clearing demons out of an intersection where, he clears demons out of an intersection that was known to have lots of accidents. And after that, like, no more accidents. So there's all kinds of great things you can do to benefit people without going into their energy field and messing with anything. I should mention that what I did before I started using my pendulum is I programmed it. When I say programmed, I don't mean that I enchanted it, because remember, like I said, the pendulum moves because I move in the direction that I make the pendulum move. So what I'm really doing is I'm programming myself. This is me moving this pendulum, and you just have to accept that. You don't really have to worry so much about being completely steady, completely just like, oh, I'm not going to move this at all. People use their bodies for pendulums. So this is just another way for our body to manifest the movement. Towards the beginning, it would just stay static. And oh, did that make me mad? It was the user, right? Because the pendulum is really me. And I learned to ask better questions. This is more than what I want to get into with you, but the reference is Google letter to Robin, maybe letter to Robin dowsing, and you will get a document that tells you how to program. It's like how to program your pendulum, but it's how to program yourself so that you have an understanding of what you're talking about when you're using your pendulum to clear things. And this will take you through a specific formula of, and by formula I mean language, of how to program yourself. So that's more than I want to get into, but if you're interested in doing this for realsies, for people and yourself and energies and houses and things like that, get into Letter to Robin. So as I said, the first thing that I do, Letter to Robin has this, but I have modified it. I found that I liked my language better. Letter to Robin says, when so you have your pendulum, and see it's in the neutral position, it's going to the number 5, so it's at the 45-degree angle. Can I, may I, is it appropriate to douse for, and then they're saying yes. Finally, at first they were like no. So it's saying yes. Okay. That's what I always ask, because sometimes it's not appropriate, even if they give permission. And so then you just have to honor that and say, oh, I can't do it right now. So then I do that. Letter to Robin says, can I, may I, should I? And I don't like the word should. That's kind of subjective. So once I get a yes, then we'll do, I'm just going to come up with, let's check, have any non-beneficial implants attached to her. So if you got a yes, or you got a no, or you got a neutral, well, if you got like, okay, if my pendulum just kind of like swings like this, a neutral, that means like either they don't want to answer the question, or they, the question is not going to be answered, or like I need to word it a different way. So then we want to clear that, right? So remember the language. I ask the system to deactivate and dissolve all non-beneficial implants attached to. And I should have said, like, okay, we're just practicing, so it's okay. But obviously, when you're doing this, you've gotten into your light conduit. But as you can hopefully see, is turning counterclockwise for you, because I'm apparently dissolving and deactivating these implants. And normally I would just let it go until it stops. It's swinging in the ready for question. As again, you'll learn if you read Letter to Robin, but it's swinging 45 degrees, ready for question. Okay. Can I, may I, is it appropriate to douse for? And it is, because it's swinging clockwise. Have any non-beneficial frequencies affecting her? Okay, I got an answer. Is there an energetic imbalance is manifesting as pain right now on her left side? Okay, so there is an energetic imbalance. What might we do? I ask the system to clear all energetic imbalances in his body now. It's the other thing that I say now, because I want it to be clear that this is in, like, I'm telling the system now, because time is irrelevant, right? On the other side, or whatever we're tapping into, time is irrelevant. So we have to be very specific. And it's just kind of still moving right down into the core. And now it's done. Sometimes it can be up and down as in neutral. Mine usually goes to up and down, but yeah, it could go to the 45 degrees for waiting for a question. Like I think after you practice it some more, it will get less sporadic and more predictable. I mean, some people draw the imbalances back to them, something that's kind of like beyond what I planned on teaching today, but something you can definitely do because our mind is powerful, is then you can add language, and this goes into effect from now on and cannot be reversed or changed. I am careful with that kind of language because that borders on a curse or a hex or a spell. And I want that person to have complete autonomy and complete ability to change whatever they want with whatever I've done. So I have this whole thing that I do after I clear somebody. In that, I will say, and this is in effect until if and until decides otherwise, because I don't want there to be some complicated thing where in a parallel existence you're like, oh my god, in another existence I put a spell on myself and I couldn't like undo it. And I just want it to be like, if I want it undone, I want it undone. Yeah, because this can be very powerful. This kind of stuff is very powerful. If you read Letter to Robin, it's like a lot of like verbally, okay, say this and that, and it's like very specific language. But like after I did that, it felt like I was a lot more effective. So I think it's really important if you're really going to get into this. So I know that I left you with enough to be dangerous, with enough to be curious and to try things, and you could just do things for fun, and you don't really have to do the whole Letter to Robin or anything like that. You can still have a lot of fun with it.